Whether you're retired, planning your retirement for the future, or helping someone with their retirement, and Charleston happens to be on your radar, then this video is for you. Welcome back, everybody. As always, I am Bill Olson, your favorite YouTubing Charleston realtor, and we have so much information to cover in this video, from taxes to weather to beaches and dining and shopping and where to live, and so much more. So let's get this party started. And the first thing we're going to talk about is everyone's favorite topic, and that's taxes. There are some amazing tax benefits for retiring here in Charleston, or even just the state of South Carolina. But a quick disclaimer on this, that I am not a CPA. So for actual tax advice, please consult a tax professional on this. Did you know that there are still 11 states that tax your Social Security income? And luckily, South Carolina is not one of those. So a retirement into the state of South Carolina means that you get to keep 100% of your Social Security benefits. And while South Carolina does have income tax, residents over the age of 65 are able to deduct $15,000 worth of income per year. Now, this can come from any type of retirement income sources, a pension, IRAs, 401ks, you name it, you get a $15,000 deduction on your taxes. Next, we have property taxes. Now, South Carolina is one of the most property tax friendly states in the country. And in the greater Charleston area, you can expect to pay as a primary residence an effective rate of around 0.5 to 0.6% of your home's fair market value. Now again, that is just for primary residences. So if you plan on being a snowbird and this being your second home, one thing to consider is those taxes are going to about triple if it isn't your primary residence. Now, if it is your primary residence and you're over the age of 65 and you've been a resident of South Carolina for 1 year, you could be eligible for the homestead exemption. Now, what this means is you are exempt from paying taxes on the first $50,000 of your home's fair market value. So if you have a $400,000 home, you're over 65, you've lived here for 1 year, you're going to be taxed on a home that is $350,000. Now, there is one more benefit that isn't strictly for seniors, but it's for veterans that are 100% disabled. You are exempt from home and land up to 5 acres. And should you pass, this will pass on to your spouse if they remain sole owner. You are also exempt from 2 passenger vehicle taxes, owned or leased. And should you pass, one of those will transfer to your spouse if they remain sole ownership. Speaking of vehicle taxes, we do have a personal property tax here in South Carolina: cars, trucks, motorcycles, RVs, etc. The amount of this tax is calculated by the county based on the value of this personal property. And of course, that's going to depreciate each year. So it is going to go down every year. But for a good grasp on what that's going to be for you, I would suggest calling the county that you plan to move into. Around here, we do have Charleston County, Dorchester County, and Berkeley County. My wife and I's cars, I don't think we've really ever paid over $300 or so per year. And again, that goes down every single year. Okay, enough with the taxes for now. Let's get into some of the fun stuff. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the weather. The weather can be pretty comfortable year round, but there are a few things you do need to be aware of. Now, summers, they tend to be pretty hot and humid, with July and August tending to be the hotter of the months, where we can see temperatures into the 90s consistently. With that humidity, it just ramps that up. But on average, in the summer, you can expect to have temperatures in the mid 80s generally. But what really benefits you with the weather here is the incredibly mild winters. Now, the average temperatures in the winter, January, February, are around 35 to 55 degrees, but it's not uncommon to have days warmer than that. I'm filming this video on February 28th, and the high today is actually 85. So that is unseasonably warm, but it is nice when you have these days where you can wear shorts and short sleeves in the middle of winter while people up north are still shoveling snow. Speaking of snow, I have seen snow once in the 10 years that I've lived here now. There was a freak storm that came through about 6 years ago. We got about 6 inches of snow. It was gone within 2 or 3 days, but as an adult, we got a snow day because they just shut everything down, because unlike up north, we don't have all the snow plows that can clear all the roads. So it was easier to just shut everything down for a few days. And while we don't get many snowstorms, what we do get occasionally are rainstorms. Now we are coastal, so we do have a lot of those pop-up rainstorms throughout the week, throughout the summer. We can go days with a bunch of rain. We can go a month with no rain. They don't tend to be too severe all the time. The severe ones do come in the form of hurricanes though. Now hurricane season runs from around July to November. Now that seems like a very long time. The real peak of it is August and September, when a lot of the bigger storms come through. Generally, they're not as big and as scary as the news outlets make them out to be. There's plenty of preparation for a storm, whether you're gonna hunker down or evacuate. I always say the nice thing about a hurricane is it's like being stalked by a turtle. You have plenty of time to prepare while it is coming towards us to see whether it's gonna go north or south, all those crazy spaghetti models. They are scary, so just be prepared. The local news outlets are wonderful with giving you up-to-date information when there is a storm forming and when it's on its way towards us. Biggest thing that I'm asked about with the weather, I get asked about this more than hurricanes actually, and that is about flooding. And in general, flooding isn't as bad as many people make it out to be. Most people think that every time it rains that we're all climbing up to our roofs and waiting to be rescued, but it's not like that. More so, you're just driving around it. It becomes more of an inconvenience. And then people also ask about the flood insurance that comes along with the flooding. And the biggest misconception is people say, I don't live in a flood zone, or I want to live somewhere that isn't a flood zone. Well, unfortunately, we are called, again, the low country. Everything is a flood zone. We are one giant flood zone, but there are different levels of said flood zones. If you have a federally backed mortgage, the flood insurance is typically not required if you are in zone X. Anything above that, AE and higher, is going to be required. But just because you're in a higher flood zone doesn't mean that you're going to have water rushing through your house every time it rains. It just means that there is a slightly elevated chance that that could maybe one day happen. But overall in Charleston, we see on average 230 days of sunshine per year. And what better way to spend those 230 days than at one of our wonderful beaches? Now, there are 5 main beaches in the area of Charleston. Going from north to south, we have Isle of Palms, Sullivan's Island, Folly Beach, Kiowa Island, and Seabrook. Now, of those, Isle of Palms, Sullivan's Island, and Folly Beach are pretty much all public beach access. One thing to note with our beaches is that they are on barrier islands, so there is 1 lane in and 1 lane out to get to each beach. This can be a little tricky because the traffic is going to back up, especially during in season. But the benefit of being retired and not having to go to work during the week is you can get out to the beaches anytime, specifically during the week when there is a lot less traffic, and you won't be sitting in traffic for from 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes more, depending on the beach and the time of year. For me, if you've watched any of my videos, you know I am a Folly Beach person. My family love Folly Beach. It was where my wife and I first vacationed. It was where we got married. We've even vacationed down there since we've moved to Charleston. That's how much we absolutely love it. And when you get into Kiowa and Seabrook, these are gated communities. Kiowa does have a county park, the Beachwalker Park, that is public. However, the parking lot is fairly small, so if you don't get there early, you will be waiting in line for someone to leave, which can take quite some time. And Seabrook is completely gated, so there is no public beach access there. It's only for residents or their tenants. But if it's not a beach day or you don't feel like going to the beach, but you want to get out and do something, Charleston has plenty to offer in arts and entertainment, from museums to theaters to live music to an expansive park system. It's pretty hard to get bored in Charleston. Some of the highlights are the Charleston Museum, which is one of the oldest museums in the country. If you're a fan of the fine arts, there's the Gibbs Museum of Art, and also downtown there are a ton of art galleries that do art crawls, seemingly I think once a month. So that's something free that you can go and walk around downtown and check out the local artists. If you're looking to catch a Broadway show or something like that, you've also got the Gilliard Center, the North Charleston Center for Performing Arts, and even the Dock Street Theater downtown, which is one of the oldest theaters in the country. When it comes to events that happen yearly in Charleston, there are a few big highlights as well as some smaller festivals throughout the year. The big highlights are the Charleston Food and Wine Festival, which brings world-class chefs together to celebrate the low country cuisine and culture. SeaWe, or the Southeastern Wildlife Exposition, which has dock dogs and wildlife shows and vendors and boats and anything an outdoorsman or woman could want. And then some of the smaller events, you're gonna have Low Country Cajun Festival, the Jazz Festival, Preservation Society Parade of Homes downtown to check out all those historic homes that you walk by. There's just always something to do. Now, if you're a fan of live music, Charleston has a little bit of something for everyone, whether you are going to that jazz festival, you want to go catch the symphony, or if you are a deadhead from years gone by, I highly suggest you check out the Poorhouse on James Island, which caters to the jam band and Grateful Dead community here in Charleston. And one thing I do highly urge you to pick up once you move here is a Charleston Park Pass. Now, if you're over 60, they're only $60 per year, and it gets you in to any of the Charleston County parks, including future parks that are in the works. There's a total of 33. Now, this parking pass will get you into park for free. Now, during peak season on the weekends, it could be $15 to $20 just to park, and just regular park admission is $2. So you can see that $60 is going to add up really, really quick. And our last thing for the entertainment side is golfing. Now, the greater Charleston area has over 40 golf courses, 20 of them being championship courses, and you have something for every skill level and budget, really. Next, we're going to talk about the shopping and the dining. Now, being a tourist destination, in fact, we've been the #1 rated city in America by Travel and Leisure magazine for 10 years in a row. There are plenty of places to spend your hard-earned money. The dining options in Charleston are aplenty, and they're not just limited to downtown like people think. Now, whether you're looking to get your hands dirty with a low country boil or grab some oysters and a nice steak, Charleston has something for you. While there's a very diverse culinary landscape here in Charleston, a lot of what you're gonna find is going to cater around that low country cuisine and culture. So you're going to see a lot of shrimp and oysters and fresh seafood and barbecue anywhere you turn. So my words of advice are be ready to loosen that belt buckle one notch, because you will not run out of places to eat if you decide that Charleston is the place for you. And we can't forget about the shopping. Now, while there is plenty of shopping all around the Charleston area, from the Citadel Mall to Northwoods Mall to the Mount Pleasant Town Center to Azalea Square in Somerville, I want to focus down on King Street for this video. One of the best times to visit King Street is on the second Sunday of every month. Even if you're not looking to buy something, I highly suggest you check this out. They block off from Queen Street to Calhoun Street, about half a mile of King Street, to all vehicle traffic. There are no cars parked on the road, and for 5 hours, you get to roam the streets with local businesses bringing their stuff out onto the sidewalk. You can have a snack, listen to live music, enjoy the weather. It is something not to be missed. And next on our list, we're going to talk about transportation. How hard or easy is it to get around, through, in, and out of Charleston? For public transportation, we do have CARTA, which is the Charleston Area Regional Transit Authority. Now, CARTA runs buses all around Charleston and Dorchester County, and even has some park and ride facilities, because parking can be a little tricky once you get onto the peninsula. But once you're on the peninsula, CARTA also runs a trolley called DASH, the Downtown Area Shuttle. This is a free shuttle. There are 3 different routes that go all around the peninsula. So once you're down there, whether you're there by yourselves or you've got friends in town, you don't need to keep moving your car from one spot to another. Just hop on the shuttle, go to where you're going, then hop on the shuttle and head somewhere else. If you don't need public transportation, there's a lot that you need to know. And one thing you need to know is that Charleston has a lot of traffic. When you look online in a Facebook group, or heck, even in the comments of my videos, you're going to see people talking about how Charleston has the worst traffic in the world, seemingly. While I don't agree with that statement, we do have bad traffic for the size of our city. Atlanta, Chicago, LA, New York, Detroit, we are not at that caliber of traffic. But it should be noted that during the summer, when there are a lot of tourists in town, traffic can get ramped up because we do have an influx of people coming into town. Another part of the transportation is getting to and from Charleston by air. Now, we do have an international airport that is extremely conveniently located right in the middle of North Charleston, and you're never very far away. I mean, even with traffic, it taking an hour to get to the airport, I would say, is an extreme. We do have service from all the major airlines, so most of your direct flights are going to be to their hubs. I mean, when I've flown out, I've had to connect through Charlotte, Atlanta, Miami, Dallas, and I think even Chicago. But if you're looking to get away without having to take a flight, you are a short drive from Asheville, North Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina, or even Savannah, Georgia, if you're looking to take a day or a weekend trip. And one of the most important things that people do think about when they are retiring somewhere is healthcare. Being such a popular place for retirement, primary care and hospitals are never very far from where you want to live. Now, most of the main branches of the hospitals are going to be downtown or Mount Pleasant, with a few North Charleston, Somerville. In fact, there are roughly 500 physicians per every 100,000 residents in Charleston. The major hospitals in the area are MUSC, which is the Medical University of South Carolina. It is a teaching hospital, and it is the #1 hospital in the entire state of South Carolina. There's Roper St. Francis, Trident Medical, and East Cooper Medical, to name a few. And if you're a veteran, downtown also has the Ralph H. Johnson VA Medical Center. In a recent Wallet Hub study, where Charleston was actually ranked as the #1 city to retire to, when it came to healthcare, out of the 180 plus cities that they looked at, Charleston was ranked 48. Well, we weren't in the top 10, we were in the top 25%, which I think does say a lot for our healthcare system. So if you're still with me and all of this sounds great, we've come to one of the most important things, and that is where to live. And when it comes to where you want to live in the Charleston area, there are so many different areas that can fit different budgets and lifestyles. While housing in the greater Charleston areas is by no means cheap, our cost of living is above the national average. It's not uncommon to find an occasional home in the 200s or low 300s if you get outside of Charleston a little bit into Goose Creek, Ladson, and areas of Somerville. We're going to start with the 55 plus or active adult communities. Now, there are 4 main active adult communities in the Charleston area right now, and all of these are actually going to be in the Somerville area. So they're going to take you a little further from the beaches, which, to note, generally in the Charleston area, the further you get away from downtown and the beaches, the further your dollar is going to stretch. Generally, there's a Del Webb in the Nexton community. There is a Four Seasons by Kay Hovnanian in Cane Bay. There is Crestwin at the Ponds, and Horizons at Summers Corner. Now, all of these communities are going to have exactly what you would expect from an active adult community, with world-class amenities and what I like to call cruise ship-like activities. Now, there is one more Del Webb actually in the process of being developed right now. It's going to be in the Cainhoy area, which is just north of Mount Pleasant. So that's actually going to put you much closer to downtown and the beaches. That's still in development, so stay tuned on my channel. And once we get word on when that's opening, I will make sure to let you know. Now, I do understand that 55 plus active adult communities aren't for everyone. So if you're looking for options outside of that, here are some of the more popular places that I'm seeing retirees move to. One of the more popular neighborhoods in Somerville is Nexton. Now, Nexton is 6 years in and 11 years out from being finished. It is a giant master plan community. The prices in there are going to be on the pricier side for Somerville, but what you're going to get if you didn't want to be in Del Webb, the Midtown neighborhood has some amazing amenities. There are 6 builders in there that are building amazing floor plans, and it's not just the residential. There's going to be commercial sprinkled throughout. MUSC is building a hospital right in there, and even that downtown Nexton area that I mentioned before that has downtown Charleston restaurants, Hall's Chop House, Poogan's, Taco Boy, and even a Page's Okra Grill. Now, those are the areas more inland, but a lot of people, when you retire, you want to live on or closer to the beach. Now, these are going to be a little pricier options, but we're going to go through some of the more popular ones. Johns Island. Johns Island has become popular for families and retirees alike. It is an up and coming area of Charleston that for the longest time was very rural, but over the last 10 to 15 years, so much has been being built up. There are a lot of new neighborhoods. So if you're looking for new construction that is, 20 minutes from downtown, 20 to 25 minutes from the beach, Johns Island could be your spot. Now, there's some great neighborhoods like Sea Island Preserve, Grace Landing, and Twin Lakes, to name a few. You can also find some great resale homes in there, with a lot of the newer neighborhoods just being built in the last 20 years. Next, we have Mount Pleasant, which is one of the most popular places to live in Charleston. Because of that, it does come with the premium. Families like to move there because of the highly rated schools, but everyone wants to live there because of its proximity to 2 of the beaches and easily accessible to downtown. Not only do you have that easy access to Isle of Palms and Sullivan's Island, but the conveniences are aplenty in Mount Pleasant. No matter where you are, whether you're in South Mount Pleasant or North Mount Pleasant, right in the middle, you've got the Mount Pleasant Town Center, which is the main commercial area, but all throughout that, you're never far from your daily conveniences of a gas station, a restaurant, a grocery store, a pharmacy, or anything of the like. Some of the more popular neighborhoods in Mount Pleasant are the Old Village, Old Mount Pleasant area, Dunes West, Rivertown, and Carolina Park. Now, just north of Mount Pleasant, you have the quaint little town of Daniel Island. People are drawn to Daniel Island for the walking trails, access to water, and a vibrant town center. The one downside to Daniel Island is that because of where you are, if you need something that is off of Daniel Island, you do have to get on I-526 to get there. So just about everything off the island is a highway drive away. This may be a non-issue for you, but it's something to consider. And if you're a golfer, there is the Daniel Island Club that if that's where you want to be, I highly suggest getting on the wait list. There's usually a wait list to join, but they do have a Tom Fazio and a Reese Jones golf course. It is the only place in America where these 2 golf course designers play out of the same clubhouse. Of course, we also have the Charleston Peninsula downtown, where most of people think that it's only the south of Broad area, where yes, you can have some amazing $1 million homes there. It is owning a piece of history. However, if you get a little further north on the peninsula, you can find homes significantly cheaper than just that south of Broad neighborhood. But what you get for the price tag here is the ability to walk to everything that the peninsula has to offer, with world-class restaurants and events and art galleries, and strolling along the harbor at sunrise or sunset every day. One thing to consider if downtown does end up being the place for you is that you will see a lot of tourists, typically year-round. So don't be offended if people are taking pictures of your beautiful historic home, or there are horse-drawn carriage tours going past your house or wherever you're trying to get when you get stuck behind them. And lastly, we have the quintessential retirement, the beaches. And specifically, I want to talk about Sullivan's Island. And the reason for that is, while it is the most expensive beach in Charleston, there is a reason for that. See, of all the beach towns, Sullivan's Island is the only one that does not allow short-term rentals. Now, they banned short-term rentals over 20 years ago. So this has created a massive community there on the island, and in turn, it has raised the real estate prices there, because you know that you're not going to have people in and out every weekend year round. You could have long-term tenants there, but they're there long enough for you to get to know. The lots on Sullivan's Island cannot be subdivided any smaller than half an acre. So you're getting a large lot with a single family beach community. Sullivan's Island is a great place to go visit and one of locals' favorite beaches, mainly because there aren't as many tourists there because they're not staying on the island, but also because of Middle Street, where you've got some amazing restaurants for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So spending a day on Sullivan's Island, I would put very high on a to-do list. Don't forget to, grab some food at the Obstinate Daughter. Before you head to the beach, go to the Co-op for a sandwich and grab a nice cold frosé and lunch at Poe's. You just can't miss Sullivan's Island. Now, of course, this is just a small sampling of the different areas around Charleston. If you want to know or talk about which area would be best for you and your budget and your lifestyle, go ahead, give me a call or shoot me an email. I've got my contact information right here. I'm also going to put it down below in the description. My phone number is 843-580-8010, or shoot me an email at info@livinginchs.com. I hope you found this video very informative and it helped make your decision on whether Charleston is or isn't the place for you to retire. I've got a lot of great videos on my channel. I think you're really gonna like this one here. So keep watching, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I will see you on the next video and hopefully during your retirement.